everyone, this is Kathleen. I'm happy to be here today. We're going to dive into kind of a creative project today. I love using these little metal pieces, gears, and other fun things, you know, in my steampunk journals. And so I want to show you how to do that, how to rust metal or prepare these little pieces two different ways. So I'm actually going to rust some and show you how it turns out. And then we'll also, for those of you who don't want to do that, we will also do a couple with the alcohol inks, and that will give kind of a good patina of weather as well. I do have to caution you, this creates fumes, and so you need to be careful if you are sensitive, particularly to smells, and you need to work in a well-ventilated area. Open a window or get a fan going, whatever you need to do. And secondly, it can be pretty hard on your hands as well. And so if you don't want the vinegar to sting, then be sure to get a pair of gloves. And you will need some gloves later when we're working with the alcohol inks. Okay, let's just get started quick. What you're going to need is some white vinegar. Well, actually any kind of vinegar. When I don't have white vinegar, I've been known to use apple cider vinegar. So whatever vinegar you have will work. And then you need some hydrogen peroxide and some salt. So in addition to those things, you will need a jar and some pieces of metal. So I have some other things that we're going to look at, but I know that the paper clips work really well and it's easy. And so we're just going to use that today. But let me show you some different things that are already finished. So this is from the rust solution. I'm going to create a solution, and as I say, the paper clips work really well. And the other things that you might have lying around work to varying degrees, okay? So these are some of those little bead tops, and that doesn't rust really well. This was a charm, and it has some rust going, and maybe if I left it for a long time, it would work. But most everything managed to at least oxidize. But if you want it to really rust, then it needs to be iron. It needs to have iron in it. And some of the metals that we pick up don't always have iron in it. So, you know, these I had to do with the alcohol inks because they just wouldn't rust. And so that also looks rusty in the end. And so it can be, you know, an alternative to actually trying to rust. Okay, so let me show you how to do it. So the first step is to put the things in the jar. So we'll just add those in there, and then we're going to add some white vinegar first. So these three things in combination make the rust happen. The vinegar kind of corrodes the metal a little bit and opens it up to the other two ingredients. So we're going to soak that. In the end, the recipe for this, my recipe, you find this rust recipe all over YouTube and the internet, and they usually call for, you know, different parts per, but I just do half and half. 1 part of vinegar and 1 part of peroxide with some salt. So I'm just going to put the vinegar in first. I'll just put about, I can't tip it, see? But it's just some, probably half a cup in there. So that's 1 part vinegar. And then you're going to put the lid on it, and you're going to let that sit for a period of time, maybe an hour. if you're really in a hurry, you can skip this step. But if you leave those to soak in the vinegar, then again, it will start to corrode the metal and begin the process and make it go faster later on. But just for demonstration purposes, we're just going to skip that part, and then we're going to add again about a half a cup of the peroxide. Okay, and now we're going to add, well, all of the other recipes call for a couple of teaspoons, but to be honest, I have found that it's the salt that actually activates the rusting. So I'm going to put definitely, that's at least a teaspoon, and then I'm going to put a little bit more. Maybe even a tablespoon or more. And then we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to make sure that the salt dissolves. And already that you can start to see there's some color coming. So it's an almost immediate thing. We're going to let that sit there for a minute. And I'm going to go grab a fork so that we can fish some out and watch the progress. Okay, you can see it's starting to color. That's the mixture working on that metal. Let's get some paper towels. And we'll pull some out and see how already it's working. So those are now oxidized and on their way to rusting, okay? So you can speed this up by putting some rust in there already. So this is just a rusty bobby pin that I found in our driveway, probably from when our daughter lived at home. And here is just some pieces off this piece of rusted metal, and I'm going to put that in there. Now, can you see that color? It's really starting to work, and it works just that fast. Yeah, it's fun. Okay, so we'll give that another 5 minutes or so. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and this is the solution that I just kind of keep around, because if I really want the process to go fast, then I will use this old rusty solution and maybe add a little bit more to it. But let's see how our things are doing. Our paper clips. Okay, so they're definitely oxidized already. And if I leave them in there for 2 or 3 hours, it starts to foam, and it really works well. And that's how you get these really reddish kinds of clips. But, you know, even just having it be oxidized, I'm pretty happy with that. And that, you know, that happens in about 15 minutes. So And some clips work better than others, and it just depends on what the content of this steel is. Yeah, how much iron is in there. Okay, let's put this away, because that's pretty easy. And then I'll show you how to do some with the alcohol inks. Just a couple more cautions. Don't use your good silverware. Use something that you don't care about and dedicate it to this kind of project. And then also, most importantly, if you want, you can save the solution like I do and use it for dyeing papers. And it can come in handy that way. But when you are ready to discard it, don't put it down the drain. Discard it some other way, either through the hazard, the garbage requirements, or dump it on the ground or some other way so that you're not leaving it in your pipes to start any rust in there either. So just wanted to remind you about that. Okay, for this part, we're just going to need some paper plates. We're going to need a couple of paper towels. And then the alcohol inks. And I'm going to do both the patina and the rust. So let me put my gloves on. Okay, I have in this little jar, you also do need a little, you can do it just on the paper, but you'll end up, using up your inks. So I have some pieces here, and I'm going to use half of them for rust. So we'll put those in there, and half of them for the patina. So I'm just going to put them there in the bottom, and then these are the colors that I have. I have sepia, yellow, honeycomb, and it's kind of a grayish brown mushroom. So the sepia is going to be the dominant color, so I'm going to put in about, I want to say maybe five drops. Of the sepia, and then I'll put in maybe 3 drops of the yellow, because there's always a little bit of rust. There's always a little bit of yellow in rust, and there's always a little bit of just kind of corroded looking, which is what this mushroom is. We'll just put a couple drops of that in, and then we need a stir. I'm just going to use the bottom of this crochet hook, and we're just going to stir that around. That's all there is to it. Yep. And then we're going to dump it out on the paper. I'm going to wipe that with so that it doesn't color the crochet hook. And then we're just going to let that dry. Let's see if I can gather it up over here. Can you see how that looks? Perfectly rusted. Yep. That's, and you can alter the amount, you can take some of it away with a little bit of paper towel if you think there's too much on there. But once it dries, then it's largely kind of set. Okay. All right, now let's do the patina and see how that works. Okay, so now we're going to dump that in there. And we're going to start with this aquamarine color. And put 4 or 5 drops of that in there. We're going to put a drop of the mushroom in again, just to kind of dirty it a little. And then we're going to put a drop of green to make it kind of more turquoise color. And then we're going to stir that up. And that is still kind of too much of a bluish green. So I think I want to put another of the green in, and I think I'm going to put in a drop of yellow. Sometimes, you know, you're just trying to experiment and get what you want. And sometimes you just kind of know, you know it when you see it. And some patina is green and sometimes it's blue. It's a little hard to tell, and it's just completely up to you. But I think I want a little bit more dirt in it. All right. Let's dump it out and see what we've got. 2 green. I can tell already. That color's a little better for me, but I don't necessarily want that much color on it. I want kind of the metal showing as well. Okay, let me get cleaned up and we'll see what they look like. Okay, there you have it. It's beautifully rusted. Just in the amount of time that we've been doing this video. And yeah, they turned out just really great. And then here's the way the alcohol ink ones turned out. So they're all so pretty. And easy enough to use alcohol ink for those things that just won't rust because they're not metal. So there you have it. Thanks so much for your time today. If you have any questions, then just drop a comment below and I'll try to answer whatever questions you might have. And appreciate your time today. We'll see you again with the next video.